Welcome, cursed coeds and scabby scholars, to another episode of Mostly Disturbing Fables. Before we get the creeps, I must remind you, viewer discretion is advised. As you may be able to guess, our fables are indeed disturbing. Take heed and enjoy.
Come here. Don't be shy. Mostly disturbing.
The Bedbug by Zebulon Patchen. There are many interesting people a potato chip delivery guy might meet on the road, but this story revolves around one, Goodwin. Let's meet the snack man himself, Chris Merrill. He's an average dude, long curly brown hair with an unruly brown mustache, and he stands 5 foot 11 inches. I wouldn't call him fat, but I also wouldn't call him skinny. Can you blame the guy? He's literally surrounded by snacks 40 hours a week. His route takes him through the plain, brown flatland of the Arizona desert, delivering chips to the many strange ma and pa type shops littered here and there along the shrubs and cacti. One of those shops is a Russian immigrant-owned shop called Tchotchke. It's a small, plain brown building with a few broken gas pumps out front. The store is more like a thrift store than a convenience store, with various knickknacks collecting dust on the shelves. Chris pulled into the parking lot ready to deliver his usual Friday delivery. $20 worth of snacks. He sat in the driver's seat staring down at an invoice when a mousy Mexican woman knocked on his passenger window. Chris smiled as he looked up.
Hey, friend.
She called out, returning a smile of her own. Hi, Kylie. He jumped out of the truck, invoice in hand, the steady desert wind causing it to blow about. He grabbed the one box of chips for the store and followed her inside through the glass front doors. Chris finished counting the few chip bags in the box when a bearded man with a sunken look approached them. This man was Goodwin, the new hand at Tchotchke. He was a van lifer that had blown in a few weeks earlier.
This is Goodwin, the new guy.
Kylie said, stepping out from between Chris and Goodwin. They shook hands and did the usual nice to meet yous. I gotta get back to the front counter. Chris, man? Take it easy, Goodwin said through a toothy grin protruding from his dark beard. All right, bro, Chris replied. Blast! Came a shout from the front. The morning was crisp and cold as the tires of the delivery truck crushed along the empty flat highway.
Welcome back to Paranormal and Jelly. Have you heard of the cryptid the internet is calling the Bedbug? Thought to be something akin to Nosferatu.
The podcast playing from his phone speakers suddenly cut off. Huh, great, I forgot to charge you, he said, as he reached toward the USB cord hanging from his dash. Tchotchke appeared abandoned as Chris pulled open the door, box of snacks in hand. A head popped up from behind the register. It was Goodwin. Bless, Chris, man. Sup, he said as he rounded the corner. Just you this morning? Chris asked as he counted the 5 bags of today's delivery. Yeah, man. Everyone else called out. It's not like we have any customers anyway. So where are you from, Goodwin? I'm from everywhere, man. But I was raised in Amish country, Ohio. But I've been on the road for 10 years now, ever since I left the army. Goodwin helped him stock the few bags on the shelf, and then Chris headed towards the door. Try not to fall asleep, Chris joked as he left. Blessed, man, replied Goodwin. So, no Goodwin today? Chris asked Kylie while he dropped off the invoice at the counter.
No, he's off doing something at the lake. Hey, do you want to hang out tomorrow? I figured we could get to know Goodwin a little better.
Yeah, bowling alley as usual? Kylie nodded. Chris's delivery truck drove off onto the highway, the only vehicle on the isolated stretch of road.
Hey, did Goodwin seem kinda off the other night at the bowler rink?
Kylie scrunched her eyebrows as she asked the question. The meat thing, right? Chris winced a little.
Yeah, like, WTF, he only eats raw meat? I can understand keto diet, but raw bloody meat is way out there.
she said while fake gagging. Not only that, but the way he freaked out on the waitress for the meat being basically burnt. I'm pretty sure the burger was still breathing, Chris said.
It was really odd, but I still like the
Kylie was interrupted by the sight of Goodwin walking across the dusty, cracked wooden flooring directly to them. What are you guys talking about? He said as he took up a spot less than 3 inches from Chris. Chris took a long, uncomfortable step to the left and replied, "Oh, just something we heard about on TV. Anyway, how are you, Goodwin?" Kylie shot Chris a worried look. "Huh, I've been blessed, man. Are you sure you weren't talking about me?" Goodwin's eyes flickered quickly between the two.
The bedbug is thought to be human, or at least human-like. If the stories are true, it can feed on any mammal blood, but they prefer human blood. I wonder if any of them work at blood banks. Ugh, the thought gives me the chills.
Paranormal and Jelly played over the speaker of Chris's truck. Chris shuddered, put the truck in park, and turned off the ignition. Tchotchke had no lights on, and the parking lot was empty. He tried the door handle. The door clunked against the lock. He peered inside using his hands to shield the outside light, shook his head, and started walking back towards his truck. "Yo, Chris man!" yelled Goodwin from behind the hood of his old white camper van with New York plates. Chris walked over to the van. "What's up with the van?" He looked into the engine bay. "Nothing too crazy. Bad spark plug," Goodwin said as he fought the end of a wrench. "Right on. Is the store closed today?" "Yup, closed, but the owners are letting me stay here in my van. It's pretty sweet, and it beats the heck out of campgrounds." Goodwin smiled his toothy smile.
For the last 3 weeks, we have been investigating the horrifying, blood-sucking bedbug here on Paranormal and Jelly. Today we have something special, a user-submitted story of a real-life encounter. Marcy from New York State writes in, "Hi Jelly, last week's episode covering the bedbug triggered a memory with me. I met a guy last year at a campground. He was clean-shaven and seemed pretty nice. That night, my dog went missing. We searched all over the area but couldn't find him. The guy came out of his van and asked what was going on. I told him my dog had vanished. As we were talking, I noticed he had blood dripping from his lip. I asked if he was okay. He laughed and said he liked his steaks raw. It was a health food thing. He left about an hour later. I couldn't shake the feeling that he had something to do with my dog disappearing. He had a strange facial expression like he was daring me to blame him or something. It freaked me out so bad, and I miss my pupper so much. Do you think this was a bedbug sighting?" Yikes, Marcy, that is terrifying. Your poor dog. I really hope for his sake that man wasn't a bedbug. Thanks for listening to the show. Next Friday, we will be hearing more of your stories about the feared modern Dracula, the bedbug. Sleep tight, and don't let the bedbug bite.
The speakers cut to Paranormal and Jelly's outro song as he pulled into Tchotchke's parking lot. There were cars lined across the dirt lot, leaving very little room for the delivery truck. Chris pulled his way through the crowded store to the front counter.
Pretty crazy, huh?
Kylie yelled over the cacophony of unregulated tourist voices. "Why the crowd? Is it Mardi Gras?" Chris joked.
There's a big concert up at the lake. Some kind of bluegrass thing. Goodwin is over by the soda fountain. He'll check you in. I can't leave the register.
Chris made his way to the fountain where Goodwin was staring wide-eyed at the tourist. "Man, there's a lot of people. Pretty exciting, right, Chris, man?" A group of obese tourists in their signature Hawaiian button-ups waddled past them. "It's like a buffet out there." Goodwin paused for a moment, as his eyes followed a tall blonde woman who was looking around confused. "I'm gonna head up to the lake after work. Try to get a nice snack for the evening." Chris chuckled uncomfortably at Goodwin's comment.
We have a lot of strange requests at the butcher counter. This one was by far the strangest. The bearded guy asked if we could get him a gallon of pig's blood, fresh as possible. He had great timing as we just finished slaughtering and had a fresh bucket full. So I grabbed an empty water jug, filled it up, and brought it to the guy. I shit you not, the guy said blessed and then started chugging the blood right in front of me. I almost passed out and threw up. This was about 3 months ago. Yuck. Thanks for writing in, Tony from New Mexico. Watch out, butchers in the Southwest. The bedbug has found a new pillow to hide under.
Chris turned off the truck stereo, shaking his head. He reached for the handle of his door. His phone let out a tone from his pocket.
Hey, Chris. Wanted to let you know Goodwin is crashing at my place for a few days. His van broke down and is in the shop.
The text bubble read. He tapped back a simple bummer and proceeded to the store. How's it going with the new roommate? Chris asked Kylie on his next visit to Tchotchke.
Well, better than I thought. The raw meat thing is really gross, but otherwise he is respectful and clean.
She cringed a little and rubbed her calf.
I have a gnarly cut on my leg. I can't figure out where it came from.
She lifted her skirt slightly, revealing her swollen wound. The gash was 3 inches long and deep. Oh my God! You should go to a hospital. That thing looks deep. Chris gasped as he peered into the void of muscle and blood. How on earth did you not notice it happen? Chris looked shocked.
I wish I knew. I think it happened while I was asleep. I noticed it on Monday. It keeps reopening in the night. I put a wrapping on it before I go to bed, and when I wake up in the morning, I find the wrapping in my blankets covered in fresh blood. I must be itching at it in the night.
Dear Paranormal and Jelly, Matt from Arizona here. Boy, do I have a freaky story for you regarding your bed bug. A month and some change ago, I met a bearded man who called himself Goodwin. He was living out of his van traveling across the country. I run a landscaping business, and he asked if we had any work. I offered him a few days of laying concrete for a nice warm bed and $20 an hour. The first few days of working with him was great, but on the 4th night, he started acting very strange. He kept asking me questions about my medical history and my blood type. It's his face that scared me the most. It was as if he was eyeing plates of food in a restaurant while he waited for his order. Anyway, that night I woke up to a sharp pain in my calf. Looking down into the darkness, I saw eyes staring back at me. It was Goodwin. He had his tongue pressed into my leg, lapping at the wound like an affectionate dog. I kicked him in the face, hard. He let out a hiss like an angry snake and burst out of my room. I could hear his footsteps as he ran out of the house. His van started and he peeled out of the driveway. After filing a police report, I stood in my living room, shocked by what had just happened. There, in the corner by the couch, was the dude's backpack. I found a handful of fake IDs from many different states, all with different names, but the same bearded, toothy grin. The police never caught the guy, to my knowledge.
Chris's jaw dropped. He ran inside of Tchotchke without bothering to grab his deliveries for the day. Kylie wasn't there, but the owner of the store was. Is Kylie out today? Chris asked, wide-eyed and short of breath. She's in trouble. She hasn't shown up all week. Why? Do you know what's going on with her? The shop owner's face switched from anger to worry. No, I don't, but I think it has something to do with Goodwin. Chris chewed on his name. You might be right about that. He called in yesterday to let me know he quit and wouldn't be coming back. Chris rushed out of the store to his truck. Answer, please be okay. Chris dialed Kylie for the 6th time. The phone went straight to voicemail on his next attempt. He called the local sheriff department, explaining the situation to the deputy that answered. Huh, we could do a welfare check if you'd like, the deputy said with a dull, surly voice. Yeah, fine. Thank you. Chris stared at his phone from the seat of his delivery truck. A tear dripped onto the blank screen. Please be okay, Kylie. Chris sniffled and waited quietly for the sheriff's call. His screen lit up. Is she okay? Chris blurted out. Well, Here's the thing, nobody answered the door. Lights were off and nothing looked out of place. We can't really do much without probable cause. If you don't hear from her in a day, call us back. Okay. Thank you. Chris whispered as he looked out the window. I don't need fucking probable cause. I need her to be okay. Chris slammed his hand on the steering wheel. The delivery truck roared past an endless expanse of tan desert sand. Chris glared ahead, focused and stoic. I hope he's there. I'll kill him if he hurt her, Chris growled as he rounded a corner street on the outskirts of town. He slammed his truck into park outside of a brown stucco house. Kylie! Are you in there? Chris pounded his hands on the door. His calls met silence. The sound of Chris's hard breathing was the only noise to be heard. Chris walked around the back, peering through windows as he went. His hands touched the back door handle. He took a deep breath and pushed open the door. Her kitchen seemed perfectly normal. A few dirty dishes in the sink, an empty coffee mug on the counter, and her set of keys sitting in a wooden bowl. Kylie! Chris yelled, his voice cracking. A shifting noise sounded from the back room, followed by a whimper. Chris's feet ripped his body through the hallway. He collided hard with the bedroom door, throwing it open. And there, on the floor, slowly writhing, was Kylie. She was pale and hardly conscious. Blood leaked from slashes all over her arms and legs. Chris knelt down beside her, and with a finger, he brushed the bloody tangles away from her eyes. It's gonna be okay, Kylie. I promise. He gently kissed her forehead as he held her in his arms.
Dear Paranormal and Jelly, longtime listener and first-time submitter Chris from somewhere Arizona here. I have the finale for your bedbug series.
Chris's hand rested on Kylie's thigh. She smiled over at him from the passenger seat of his delivery truck.
Oh, very good indeed. A disturbing fable. Well, my friends, that does it for this episode. But do not fret, we will be back next week with another fable from deep within the archive. If you'd like to submit a fable, email me. Yes, that's right. Even ghouls have emails. Anyway, email me at zebulon@mostlydisturbingfables.com or just visit the website. Bye-bye.